Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the first webinar for 2020. What a pleasure it is to be with all of you today. I'm grateful that you're able to spend some time with us. The subject for today's webinar is a top 10 business lessons for 2019 and planning for 2020. The background on this webinar is several years ago, I read an article from one of my colleagues that I thought had some very interesting questions to ask yourself as you begin the new year and reflect on the previous year. And so I thought that in the interest of helping all of you, that I would share some of what I've learned from 2019 and talk with you about some of what we got planned for 2020. Before we get underway, just a couple of housekeeping details. One is, if anyone would like a copy of the slides, we'll give you an email, my email, at the end of the session, and you can just send me an email, we'll send them to you. Second, we are recording the session. And so again, if you'd like a recording of the session to share with colleagues, just bot me an email and we'll send it to you. Third, we will send you a little survey after the session. And if you can take a couple of minutes to fill it out and get back to us, that would be great. Lastly, we've got colleagues and some clients and some people who are new to us on the line today. Everyone's going to be muted. There are 3 ways that you can participate in today's webinar. One is for this webinar, we've got, I would say, a healthy dose of polling questions. And so what we'll do is, as we move throughout the session, there'll be opportunities to stop and ask you a question, a polling question, have you guys respond to it. The second is, again, for some people, it's a different place. So for me, there's a chat bar or there's a Q&A bar, and the control panel for me is at the top of my computer, and it'll either say chat or Q&A. And so if you have some specific questions for me, you can type in the chat bar, and what I'll do is try to monitor that as we go, and I'll try to handle as many questions as I can as we go. I'll reserve a little bit of time at the end to answer any final questions. And then lastly, sometimes, I don't know about you, but you attend a webinar, the session ends, and we will end promptly at 2 p.m. Eastern. And so if there are some questions that you didn't get a chance to ask me, either about something I've shared or about something that's related to you personally, you can send me an email. Lastly, Kumari, if you can type on the screen your email address, and if anyone is having any trouble accessing the webinar or hearing me, you can reach out to Kumari and she will do her best to get things straightened out. So those are some logistical details. What I'd like to do is maybe launch our first polling question. So Kumari, if you can do that, that would be great. And what we'll do is we'll end the poll now in I would say 15 seconds. So we'll end it in, I would say 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, we're going to end the poll. So what's fascinating is 100% said you wanted to hear about the top 10 list. One thing that you should know about me is I probably I could have been somebody. I could have worked for David Letterman years ago. One thing about me is I can put together a top 10 list on almost any topic as fast as anyone I know. And so I actually have two top 10 lists that I'm going to share with you today. One of them are I've reflected on 2019 and what are some of the key lessons that I've learned. And then I went back and looked at all the clients that we've worked with, and I have highlighted 10 specific issues that clients have come to us to help them address. So I'm going to share two top 10 lists with all of you. So the objectives for today's session, we're going to do four things. One, I'm going to share some lessons learned, some milestones, some key challenges that I think we faced in 2019 that give me some information that has helped me and influenced me in our planning for 2020. I will share with you top 10 lessons that I've learned from 2019. I'm going to provide a forum for all of you to answer what I believe are four important questions for you to think about as we put a bow on 2019 and kick off smartly 2020. And then I'm going to give you some thoughts in terms of how can you take some of the insights from today and apply it back in the job. So that's what we're going to do during the rest of the hour together. I know some of you are new to us. And so the mission of Boxer Advisors is to create and deliver high-impact consulting, coaching, training solutions to help meet our clients' needs and have a real impact organizationally and individually. There are three things that we do. We help clients develop leadership capabilities. We help clients drive organizational change. We help clients to engage and retain top talent. We think that one of the ways, really the secret sauce to doing what we do is integrating our solutions into what our clients are currently doing and helping every individual to translate insights of what they've got back on the job. And so that's what we're going to do. That's what we do for a living. We've probably worked with 40 federal agencies, I think a number of large nonprofits and several Fortune 1000 companies. So that's a little bit about us. So again, I said that I read this article several years ago, and Marissa Levin, she included, I thought, four interesting questions to think about, which I have thought about, and I'm going to share with you my thoughts. So the four questions are: A, what were your three greatest milestones, breakthroughs, or achievements? What was the most formidable challenge that you overcame? Second question is, how did you change your circle of influence? Sort of the key people in your tribe. Third question, what were the results of those changes? And we'll end the session giving everyone an opportunity to think about what's one word that you would use to describe 2020 for you. And, sort of what are your hopes and aspirations? So that's what we're going to do. And so I'm going to go ahead and dive in. And so when I think about, for us, the greatest achievements, milestones, or breakthroughs for 2019, I think of three things. One, I think of some of the work that we've done with some of our clients. So some of the work that we've done is with the FLC, is the Federal Laboratory Consortia. And one of the things that we've done is we've helped that organization, which is helping to facilitate technology transfers with laboratories throughout the country, and we've helped them refine their strategic plans for the next 3 years. With the Food and Drug Administration, we're part of a team that's working with FDA to help the Food and Drug Administration implement a high impact mentoring program. With the Department of Health and Human Services, we're under contract with one agency to help them take a look at how can they more effectively, what are some best practices regarding lessons learned, and how can they be better about learning from each other. And with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, we've delivered, I think, 7 train the trainer sessions for their team leads to help them more effectively deliver. They have a catalog of, hard to believe, 477 discrete modules that they've developed. And so we've developed this train the trainer session to help them deliver that training. I think the second thing that we did in 2019 is we further developed our team. We brought on Komori, who is serving as our administrator today. We also brought on one other person. We brought on 2 proposal writers. And so we've tried to bring them on smartly. We've provided some training to them. That continues. And then in 2019, we launched a number of special initiatives. We've continued with our Executive Book Club in Bethesda. We actually started a book club in Hampton Roads, Virginia, where some of you may know I now live. We hosted a breakfast meeting in Hampton Roads, Virginia, and we initiated the first annual learning lab for our clients, which was a way for our clients to share some best practices and to hear some of the new solutions that we have available. So that's on our end. I thought we should maybe launch our second poll. So Komori, if you can do that, I'm interested to hear from all of you. What were your greatest milestones, breakthroughs, or achievements? And we'll keep that open for about 20 seconds. So if you can go ahead and enter your responses, that would be great. Okay, I'm going to give you another 10 seconds to do that. All right, we're going to close the poll. So what's interesting to me is again, I'm shocked. So many of you made some significant improvement with a core process. I'd be interested if you can type in the chat bar, what core process did you improve and what was sort of the impact on the organization? That would be of interest. So that's interesting results. You know, it's always important, I think, for all of us to make some headway in improving core processes. So the next thing I want to take a look at is what were some of the challenges that you overcame? And I'll go first. So for me, one of my colleagues who I've worked with 14 years, she is married to someone who is an ex-senior officer with Coast Guard. She decided, you know, for work-life balance to step away from day-to-day activities. And so she was instrumental to the business. And so developing our team to get along without Michelle was not easy for us to do, but we've done it. Michelle still is connected with us, still is doing work with us, but is not involved in day-to-day activities. I think the second challenge that we faced was the government shutdown. And, you know, given that a significant percentage of our clients are with the federal government. Obviously, the shutdown impacted us in a couple of ways. One, with some of our government clients, they weren't able to process their invoices. Second, they weren't in their office to talk about work. And then third, from a budget perspective, I think many things got moved back. And then the last challenge that we faced is, most of our work, again, over, I think it's now 28 years that I've had my own company, and over 80% of our work is repeat business and referrals. So 3 of our clients, one of them, we're a subcontractor to a prime contractor. And so that contract, they required less of our services in 2019. A big career coaching contract that we had, they decided to scale back what they needed from us in 2019. And then the third, where we've done a combination of executive coaching, action learning coaching as part of their cohort program to develop mid-level managers, they decided, given the timing of things, that they were going to focus on other things in 2019 and didn't need our services. And so, for us, we've had to, replace those revenues with other clients. So those are 3 challenges that we faced. Again, I'm going to launch the third poll, and I'd be interested to know what specific challenges you faced in 2019 that you overcame. And again, we'll keep this poll open, I would say, for another 15 seconds. And so if you haven't voted, we're going to end the poll in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So if we can, what's interesting with this is we have about 30% of you say developed a new approach to a situation, some sort of turnaround, which is interesting. 30% of you said, achieved results with fewer resources. And then another third of you made headway in dealing with an overwhelming issue, which is great, which is fantastic. So I think with all these, what we want to do is be mindful of what were some of the challenges that we overcame and what specifically did we do in overcoming them. Again, the more conscious we can be about what we've done, the easier it will be for us to replicate things moving forward. So the next thing to take a look at is, are there some mistakes that I made? And so again, I've thought about this. And so some of the mistakes that I made in 2019, which I'm trying to, frankly, not make again in 2020, are one is I think that, frankly, for the first time, we have, I think it's the first time, we bid on a number of projects with local governments. So over the past 27 years, I would say 99% of our work has been with Fortune 1000 companies or big companies, or federal agencies or large nonprofits. In 2019, we bid on a couple of engagements with local governments. We actually won one. And second, then another one local to the Hampton Roads, Virginia. We bid on a project, and we actually were ranked the highest with our technical proposal, the highest in our oral presentations. Unfortunately, we lost because of cost. And so one of the things that I'm smarter about as a result of that work is realizing that local governments probably are even more price conscious than the federal government. Second is, we are a subcontractor to 2 different companies that have a large they're prime contractors with a very big contract with the federal government. And frankly, it just didn't produce that many new opportunities in 2019. And then a third is we started something in 2019 to try to capture more corporate clients, and we weren't as successful as I think we could have been in doing that. Again, we're trying to do some things different in 2020 to capture more corporate clients. I think, frankly, over the years, we've had, I think, a healthy mix of corporate and government clients. I think that's a good thing for our government clients to learn a little bit about what is being done in the corporate sector. And I think it's good for our government client, for our corporate clients to hear a little bit about some of the innovative things that the government is doing. So those are three mistakes that I made. And so what I'm going to do now is share with you what are some top 10 lessons that I've learned in 2019. So one of them is the value of partnering, and we've got at least one of our teaming partners on the webinar today. And so, you know, for us, the way we go about working with our clients is, I would say oftentimes with larger opportunities, we're teaming with someone else to get the job done. And so that's invaluable. And they'll never be a substitute for face-to-face meetings. And so Komori knows how important that is to the lifeblood of our company. The second is to leverage contract vehicles. So we're with some of our teaming partners, we're on GSA Mobis. We're part of a big contract with Department of Veterans Affairs, with the Food and Drug Administration. And so we're trying to always think about innovative ways to leverage those contract vehicles. A third thing is to increase the number of meetings for me with clients. And so again, there are some clients on the phone, on the call today. And so, you know, one of the things that we're trying to do is schedule meetings with me in the first quarter, just to get a sense of what are you trying to get done for this year? What are some ways that we can support you? What are some interesting and new things that we're doing? The fourth is, you know, I think we're continuing to look at the RFPs that we learn of, and I think we can even be more selective in 2020. A fifth learning is think about some of the value-added things that we can offer our clients. So one of the things that we did in 2019 that we're going to continue in 2020 is we're going to sponsor a learning lab. Again, this intimate client conference. So we're going to do that again in 2020. We're again going to launch, 2 book clubs, one in Hampton Roads, one in Bethesda. We're going to be offering a series of public workshops, again, in Bethesda and in Hampton Roads, giving clients an opportunity to test some of our training. And we'll be offering these breakfast meetings, ways of sharing some best practices with our clients. Some other lessons that I've learned from 2019 is there's still some work to be done to continue to develop the skills of our team. We need to leverage our coaching work, whether that be executive coaching, action learning coaching, or career coaching. We need to further develop our connections in Hampton Roads. It is a different marketplace than the Washington, D.C. area. The good news is I've met a lot of people in Hampton Roads over the past year and a half. I think we can do, frankly, a better job at leveraging some of those connections to drive business for us. One of the things that we're looking at in 2020 is to look at maybe doing some more work with state, county, and local governments. And lastly, I will say one of the things that I am proud of is that every year we poll our colleagues and some of our clients, and we ask them for suggestions of organizations to make contributions to. And so in 2019, we actually made contributions to 7 different nonprofits. We gave money to St. Jude's Children's Hospital, the Brady Center to Prevent Gun Violence, water.org, Operation Homefront, taking a look at what we're doing to help some of our veterans, ASPCA, the Alzheimer's Association, and an organization in Israel called Yad Sarah. So those are some of the lessons that I've learned from 2019. Unless anyone has any questions, I'm going to move on to, and if you do, just type them in the chat bar and I'll do my best to monitor it. And so those are some lessons that I learned in 2019. What I've done is I've put together a list of what are some of the challenges that our clients faced in 2019 that we helped them with. And I'm offering this list for 2 reasons. One, so you get to see the type of work that we did in 2019. And second, if there's something that we did in 2019 that you want to know more about, you can, again, easily bot me an email, and I'm happy to let you know about things that we've done for clients, and maybe what are some of the challenges that they faced, and what did we learn from that work. So some of the things that we have done with clients in 2019, I would say over the last 3 years, one of the things that we have done a lot of, we just won another contract to help build the skills with frontline managers. And so I call it meat and potatoes training for frontline managers. So it's helping frontline managers deal with such issues as strategic thinking, coaching development, performance management, creativity and innovation, motivation, etc. Sort of, I would say, sort of blocking and tackling stuff for frontline managers. The second thing we did for a number of clients is we facilitated team building sessions for our clients, helping them more effectively build high impact teams. A third thing that we did in 2019 was we delivered for a number of clients 1-day and 2-day customer service skills training. A fourth thing that we did in 2019 is we helped some of our clients build their leadership capabilities by offering executive coaching. The next thing we did is we delivered for a number of clients. We did it in either half-day segments, we did it in 1-day trainings, we did it in 2-day trainings, giving managers some tools for them to more effectively set expectations with their employees, conduct sort of career development conversations with their people, give them better feedback, and conduct end-of-year reviews. The next things that we did for our clients in 2019 is we did, for one of our clients, we delivered a number of scientific communication skills training sessions. We helped several of our clients refine their strategic plans. We helped a number of our clients develop, I would say, an interesting mentoring process that has helped them more effectively engage and develop talent. We developed for a few clients, we offered some retirement training. And then the last thing is we've done is, again, a number of you talked about making process improvements. And so one of the things that we've done with some of our clients is we've helped some of our clients make some process improvements with the implementation of action learning coaching. So those are 10 of the things that we did in 2019 for some of our clients. I'm going to move on to the next topic. The next topic being, what are some ways that you intentionally changed your circle of influence or your communities of support? What were the results of these changes? And so I think for all of us, we have sort of our tribe of trusted advisors, or we have, sort of our clients who are, the best clients, the clients who are the best fit for us, or we have colleagues with us that, always provide us with some sort of value add. And so one of the things that I'll do is I'll share with you some of the ways that I adapted my circle of influence, and then I'll give you all an opportunity to reflect on that. So when I look at my circle of influence, I think one of the things that I think we've done in 2019, and frankly, we're doing more in 2020, is just trying to get a sense with our teaming partners is, who are the teaming partners who really, are really partners and understand that term, and maybe provide us access to their contract vehicles, or introduce us to some of their clients, or share with us white papers. And there are some of our teaming partners who we've worked with over the past 10 years that, they're good at what they do, but, they're probably not our teaming partners. They're more resources that we can go to when we have a need with one of our clients. The second thing is, again, I am really proud that in now 28 years of running my own consulting firm, that over 80% of the work that we've done has been repeat business and referrals. One of the things that Komori and I are trying to work with is how can we go back to some of our inactive clients and go back to them to maybe give them some updated information about what we're doing. How might we connect with some new people who might be in positions of influence with our clients to work with them again. I think a third thing, again, I talked about it in 2019, that we added actually 3 new team members. One of them actually started work with us, then she moved to Hawaii, and we're thinking about bringing her back to work with us in 2020. And so we may add 1 or 2 more people to our ranks in 2020. So what we're trying to do is bring the right people into the team, do as good a job as we can to orient them to working with Boxer advisors, and then try to support them moving forward. A fourth thing is, again, one of the things that I'm proud of is the book clubs that we've sponsored. And so this year we actually had 2 book clubs that we hosted in Hampton Roads. And so one of the things that we're going to be doing in 2020 is, again, we'll launch 1 book club in Hampton Roads and 1 in Bethesda, Maryland. I'll say a little bit more about that later. If that's something that you're interested in, I'd be happy to chat with you about it. And then the last thing is, again, we've developed some clients in Hampton Roads. One of the things that we're trying to do is add to our mix of clients in Hampton Roads. I live there now, and it's obviously better for me if I can roll out of bed and be someplace in 15 minutes as opposed to driving up to DC 3.5 hours. So I think those are some of the ways that I have changed my sphere of influence as we've changed the calendar from 2019 to 2020. And so what I'd like to do is go ahead and launch our fourth polling question, asking you, how have you changed your sphere of influence? And we'll keep this poll open for probably another 20 seconds. And if anyone chooses other, if you can type out what the other is in the chat bar, that would be great. Okay, we'll close the poll in 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's close the poll. So again, interesting, about 30% or 33% of you said, I cultivated relationships with a key client. Another 30% of you said, I enhanced my relationship with my manager. And then another 33% said, I've developed the relationship with a key colleague. Again, what I'd ask all of you to do who answered those questions is, how did you go about doing that? What specifically did you do to change your sphere of influence, either with that person or that group? And what was the impact of doing that? What was the impact of doing that? So some things to think about is, how will you continue to cultivate and grow your relationships? And so I think some things to think about are there ways that you can meet with people face to face, either in a meeting, over a cup of coffee, over an adult beverage, over a meal, to sort of either A, get to know them better, or B, the second thing is understand their goals, and C, whether there might be mutual goals that you both may have with either a client or a colleague or your boss that might help both of you. The third thing is determine, are there ongoing assessments and check-ins that make sense? And then the last thing is do a strategic assessment of your current network. Determine, who are the people that, are best in supporting you, and where are the gaps, and what resources do you need? So, I would ask everyone to think about ways that you can continue to cultivate and develop your network of people. Okay, so that is a look back, and I think it's helpful to take a look back at where we have been. What I'd like to do now is look forward. And so what we'll do in the time remaining is have a quick look at what might be the focus for you for 2020. Then I'm going to give you some things that we're doing that you may want to participate. And then what we'll do is we'll end up giving you some thoughts about how can you translate some of what you've learned today back on the job. Again, I'm just looking. I don't see any questions, so I'm going to keep rolling. So one of the things that I think, again, Marissa Levin, who wrote this article several years ago, she suggested, excuse me, having one word that might describe the new year for you. And why did you select that, and how did you select it, and what are your hopes and aspirations? So for me, it's all about leverage. So I think it's leveraging some of our contract vehicles. It's leveraging our existing clients. It's leveraging our existing team so that we're in a better position to support our clients. So that's one word that I would describe. If we can launch the 5th polling question, Kamari, I'm going to ask you, what's one word that you would describe? I've come up with 4 of them. If there's a better word that you've got, again, you can type it in the chat bar, and we'll give you some time to answer that question. We'll end the poll in 15 seconds. Okay, we'll end the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, a little surprised that no one said other, but that's okay. That's okay. So 70% of you said hopeful, which is nice. Another 20% of you said organizing. So I'm assuming what that means for you is trying to get your act together and maybe focus more on what you're doing and how you're doing it. And then another 10% of you said patience. Those are all good words. So I thought that's interesting. For those people that said organizing, I'd ask you to take, just think about what are some things that you plan to organize, what are some resources that you might need to help get yourself organized. Okay, so a few things that you may want to think about that we're doing in 2020 that might be of interest to all of you. So one of the things, as I said, is we're going to launch, it's now the 5th annual Executive Book Club. Again, I've been doing this 5 years in Bethesda. We just started one. We did 2 in Hampton Roads. I do think the best leaders know that there's always room to grow and develop. I can honestly say in 5 years of doing this that never once have I come away from one of these book clubs saying, wow, that was a waste of time. It's always, 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 I think, an opportunity to learn something from others. So the way it has worked is in Bethesda, we read 4 books. Everyone gets 2 hours of coaching. We take care of everything. There's an online portal to help facilitate dialogue with the team members. With Hampton Roads, it's been a little bit maybe book club light. If this is of interest to you, you can call me, email me. I'm happy to talk to you about this learning cohort and to see whether it might make sense for you personally, or you may know another senior executive who might be interested. The second thing, again, I mentioned it as one of the things that I'm proud that we did in 2019. So we will again host for our clients this mini conference learning lab. So the way it works is there'll be about 12 clients who come together. We'll give all of our clients an opportunity to share some sort of best practice, whether it's, we're doing training to help educate our managers on storytelling, or we've implemented a new performance management system, or we've improved a core process, or we're refining our strategic plans, something that you think other people might be interested in. We're going to host this again in 2020. And so if you're on the call and you're one of our clients, I would be prepared to receive some information on the Learning Lab. The next thing is 2 of the things that we're doing different this year. One we did a pilot of last year is we hosted, we call them bagels, big ideas, and brainstorming. Bagels, big ideas, and brainstorming. And so we will, over the course of the year, we'll host probably 4 of them Bethesda and 4 of them in Hampton Roads, free events that will serve as a way to engage in a dialogue about subjects that we think might be of interest to our clients. So for the session January 31st in Bethesda, we're going to be talking about the topic of employee engagement. We're going to hold it at our corporate offices in Bethesda. If that's of interest to you, just let me know. And if you haven't received word about the event, we can let you know. The second thing is we're trying something different in 2020. We're going to be launching a series of public workshops for our clients. So one of the things that we heard back from our clients when we did a survey in 2018 is they were interested in learning more about our training capabilities and we're interested in some of their people attending some public workshops that we might host. And so we're going to host the first one in the first quarter. Will be it won't be at our home offices. That's not correct. One of our clients in Bethesda is going to host the session, and it will be in Bethesda. It's 2 minutes from our offices in Bethesda, which are right near the Grosvenor Metro. So for those people who are in DC and want to come to the session via Metro, you can easily take the Red Line to Grosvenor Metro and then either take a cab or an Uber right over for the breakfast meeting to our offices at 6701 Democracy Boulevard, or with the public workshop, literally it's right around the corner with one of our clients. So we'll be starting out with a session on managing change. We probably will do another session on time management. We might do another session on facilitating teams or facilitating meetings. Again, if you're interested in attending, just send me an email or call me. I'm happy to provide some information to you. So those are, I think, some things that we're doing in 2020 that I thought some of you might be interested in participating in. And so what I'd like to do before we wrap up today is give you some thoughts regarding next steps and how can you take some of what you've learned back on the job. So I'm going to just stop for a minute. If there are any questions that you have, again, what you can do is everyone should have, again, for me, it's at the top of my computer. There's a scroll bar that either says Q&A or it says chat. And if there are any questions that you have, I'm happy to answer them. I'm happy to answer them. So one question that has come in is, what has been the impact of some of the meat and potatoes training for some of our clients? And so I would say I can think of 3 specific outcomes. One of them, we actually did, we did some performance management training for one of our clients. They were able to get back, they were actually able to launch a new performance management system in their organization. They were able to report that managers were more able to fulfill their responsibilities in conducting the performance management system. And the third thing is they were able to report that employees actually felt like the performance management system was more equitable and easier for them to participate. A second thing that we tracked with one of our clients, where we did, again, meat and potatoes training, is they were tracking the number of meetings that managers had with their employees at the end, at the end of the training. And so we brought managers back 90 days, and they were able to, with one client organization, track, I think, 200 meetings that managers had with their employees. And then a third is a story that's maybe yet to be written. We're actually doing a webinar for one of our clients where we've done project management training for them in 2018. In 2019, we again delivered some frontline level management training. We're hosting a webinar in February. And so hopefully during that session, we'll hear some of what people were able to report, how they were able to use some of what we taught in the training workshops. Okay, so that's one question. I'm going to move on to sort of giving you some thoughts about how can you take some of what you've learned today back on the job. And so I would encourage everyone to think about, again, what can you start doing? What do you want to continue doing that's working for you? And is there anything that you want to stop doing? And so I think those are always some things that we can be thinking about that's, again, within our control. One of the things that I guess I thought I'd do is give everyone an opportunity to think about what might be next. So, Kumari, if we can launch the last polling question, giving you some thoughts about what can you do as a next step as a result of attending this training session, that would be great. So again, we'll probably close this poll out in 10 seconds. So in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So with this kind of interesting, 60% of you said, I'm going to update my plans for 2020 and my specific plans for the next 30 days. I think that's great. I think that's fantastic. 30% of you said you're going to meet with a boss or a key client. So again, some questions to think about if you're meeting with a boss or a key client is what's on their radar screen that they're hoping to accomplish in 2020. How would they assess your ability to work with them in 2019? What are some things that again, you might do different in 2020 that you think might make a difference? And again, if you're thinking about implementing something different, I think that's great for you. I think for all of us, as we, again, think about beginning the new year, to think about ACTION, what are some actions that we can take that will help us more effectively move forward. So as we think about closing today's webinar, again, we're going to send you all an email afterwards asking you what's one thing that you learned or confirmed from today's session. What are some things that you're going to do to help refine your goals and plans for the year? If you can respond to that email, that will be great. So before we close out today's sessions, some things to think about. One, Kumori, if there's a way that you can add into the chat bar some information about our upcoming webinars. So I know that we've got a webinar actually next Tuesday. So some of you may know, you may not know, that January is National Mentoring Month. And so we're going to host a webinar next Tuesday. I believe it's at 1 p.m. next Tuesday, the 28th. The purpose of that session will be to share some of what we've learned from our client work developing mentoring programs. And then I believe we're going to do another session in February. And so if you can post that information, that would be great. If Komori is somehow not able to do that, certainly we'll try to send you some information about our February webinars. And I would say to all of you, if there are specific topics that you're interested in seeing us do a webinar on in 2020, you can let us know. I think that would be great. So before we close out today, just some final thoughts and a couple of offers. One, so one of the things that again, I think I've reflected on is I think we can do a better job at doing more coaching for our clients in 2020. And so one of the things that we're offering everyone who's on the webinar today is if you're interested in testing out our coaching services, we're offering a one-time discount of 4 hours of executive coaching at a 25% discount for anyone who has attended this session. Second thing is, if anyone who is on this session wants to schedule a free 30-minute coaching session with me to talk about what you have learned in 2019 and your plans for 2020, for the first 3 people that send me an email, I will conduct that free of charge. So that's a second call to action. And then a third is if someone is on this call and you initiate a new engagement with us, something that hasn't already been booked, so a new client engagement that you booked with us for 2020, we will offer you a 10% discount. And if anyone knows anyone who you think can benefit from our services in 2020, we will offer anyone that you refer to us a 10% discount. We're going to send out this certificate to every client who is on the call today, and you should feel free to use this certificate to help you accomplish some of what you're looking to do in 2020. So we've got 2 minutes left. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. If not, again, I just want to just close by, again, giving you my email address, my contact information. So I would say in closing 3 things. One, I want to thank all of you for participating in today's webinar. Frankly, it was a good opportunity for me to reflect on what I've learned in 2019. I hope that it has been inspirational to you to reflect on what you've learned from the years past and refine your plans for 2020. I'm happy if anyone is interested in participating in a coaching session with me. I'm happy to do that. If anyone is interested in getting executive coaching from one of your senior leaders or high mid-level managers, you can let me know. And with that, that's the end of today's webinar. I appreciate all of you logging in. If you're interested, I look forward to being with you next Tuesday at the next one of our webinars or the session in February. And with that, that's the end of today's session.